So welcome everybody. So today we're going to talk about the Household Support Fund. This is round 4. So the background and aims of the fund, sorry, bear with me, some more people have just entered the room. 1 second. I'll just let people in. So welcome to everyone who's joining. We've just done some introductions and we just started to talk about the fund. I am recording this part of the session, but we will stop recording when we have some questions and answers later. So the background and aims of the fund. The Household Support Fund 4 is funding that comes via the DWP, Department of Work and Pensions, to Oldham Council. Oldham Council allocate part of that to us to provide a flexible cash first fund, which can meet emergency needs for residents before financial challenges escalate. So the part of the funding that's allocated to us is so that groups working in the voluntary, community, faith and social enterprise sectors, such as yourselves, who are already working with individuals and households in Oldham, who are at risk due to adverse impact of cost of living crisis. So it's the fund is given to us to distribute to groups such as yourself that are already working with those people as part of your day-to-day work. And it's intended as this funding is not intended to sort of be a typical grant or your typical project fund. It's providing an additional tool for the groups and organisations such as yourselves that are already working with individuals. So it's an investment in VCFC groups working with individuals, and it can include the following priorities, but it's not limited to that. So it's older adults, communities who experience racial inequalities, people experiencing multiple disadvantages. So that's if somebody's suffering from a combination of disadvantages such as substance misuse, poor mental health, etc. People with no recourse to public funds, people with disabilities and learning disabilities, and low-income households. There has been a little change from the guidance from last year in that there's a bit more of a focus on carers, but that's not been added in as a specific priority. So I think carers can range across all of those different priorities as well. So the types of support, it's not really changed from last time around. So it is the support is intended to provide direct support to individuals. So the type of support that we're giving is emergency, things like emergency food, help with emergency energy or water bills and associated costs, things like that can cover things like radiators, electric blankets, things like warm clothing and shoes, school uniforms, household furniture and white goods, household essentials, so that can be things like bedding, toiletries, baby-related items, things like that. Emergency non-related household bills, so that could be things like phone credit, data, that kind of thing. And transport costs, that's only in sort of exceptional circumstances. For example, so it's things like bus passes to attend medical or public service appointments and things like that. It's not a finite list, but that's sort of a general guide, and that's what it's been used for in the past, as a lot of you who are here will have used it for in the past. So key info just for this particular round. You can apply for 2 types of investments. There's a small investment up to £10,000 and a medium investment of up to £25,000. In terms of who can apply, this is the targeted investment. It's not an open grant, and we've sent this out to organisations who are members of Action Together, who are members of the Poverty Action Network or the Community Champions Network. If you're not members of those networks, the details are here of how you can find out more and how you can join. The reason it's been done in that way is because this isn't, as I mentioned before, it's not project funding, and it's the funding is intended to distribute primarily to individuals, and these are the kind of individuals the groups such as yourselves will already be working with. So for the small grant, which is up to £10,000, as well as being a member of those groups, you must be a constituted member of Action Together. For up to £25,000, it's the same, but you must also be a community anchor, and I'll get onto what that means a little bit later. Oops, sorry, bear with me. in terms of the maximum project length, you might, if you've been involved with this before, you'll know it was very last minute last year, and a lot of the projects, even though it was due to start before Christmas and before winter, it didn't. A lot of them, the projects didn't start till the new year for logistical reasons and a whole host of reasons. So it has started earlier this year. The project funding must be spent by the end of March 2024. And I'll go through some timescales in a short while. So you will have a little bit longer with this than those who received it last year. For the decision-making process, it will go to a steering group. So it's not like a rolling programme where you apply for a grant and we give you an award. We're going to look at all the grants, all the applications that we've had in, on the expressions of interest that we've had in, because we need to ensure, for example, that a lot of money isn't going to a number of groups in the same area providing the same service. We need to, and it's a finite pot, so we just need to ensure there's good cover, and where we identify any gaps, we need to make sure that you know, if there are any gaps in the provision, we need to look at how we can ensure that's covered as well. So the deadline for submitting the expression of interest is as soon as possible, but no later than 25th June. We are aiming to have looked at all the applications that we've received by the 30th of June, but if you can get your forms in by the 25th of June, that'll be great. And we will be sending details. Should already have had the details on of how to apply, but I can send the link out to anyone who hasn't. Okay, so I mentioned briefly community anchor organisations before. So this is for groups who want to apply for the £25,000 pot. So a community anchor organisation is obviously not for profit. That's who we're speaking to today. Incorporated, so either registered at Companies House or the Charity Commission. Must be community led and run, and you're either based at and occupying a community building that's actually rooted in a sense of place, or it can be, you can be working with a specific community of identity. So rather than being your focus being a place, it's a community of identity, but that serves Oldham as a whole, not just parts. So it's not just a small focus group just working in one part of Oldham. If you've got any queries about this, I know it's quite confusing, please just ask if you're wondering whether you're eligible to apply or not. So a community anchor organisation must have multiple functions, have unparalleled local knowledge and well-established networks and connections into the community. They're either physically based or in their community of identity, and must have a mission to improve the whole of the community and not just a part. But as I say, if you've got any doubts or any questions about eligibility for either of those, just give us a shout. Okay, so what can the money be spent on? The guidance from the government is really clear that the majority of the funding must go directly to residents. It's that providing that cash support, that voucher support, providing items directly to residents. But obviously they do realise that costs are associated with this. What they did say was, unfortunately, they didn't specify that amount. So what has been agreed last year, those of you who applied just last year will remember that you were entitled to claim up to 10% of the total amount that you'd applied for as administration costs. I think a lot of you fed back that wasn't enough. As I said before, this isn't project, it's not project funded in the usual way, but we have spoken to the council, and also the guidance has changed in that the government recognises that sort of supplementary advice is given by your organisations alongside the direct cash support. So you can now claim up to 15% of the total amount of the award for organisational costs and supplementary advice. So that is an increase from last year. So the application process, there is a very short online form. If you can get to us by the 25th of June, if you haven't had a link to the form and you are eligible, please let us know and we can send you the link to that to fill that in. We kept it as brief as possible. I've already mentioned that the decision will be made by the steering group. That will involve representatives from Oldham Council and Action Together. The payment will be made in 2 instalments. Now, there was a real desire, as you can imagine, for this to be weighted towards winter, because that's when a lot of the support is going to be, well, more support is generally needed. The first payment will be 25% of the overall award, and the second payment will be up to 75% of the overall award. And I just wanted to talk through how these payments work. So the second instalment will be paid after satisfactory evidence of how the first instalment has been used and has been provided to Action Together, because obviously we realise when you make the application, you don't know what the demand's going to be, things can change, circumstances can change, and I'll come on to how we monitor that in a little while. So we do appreciate that circumstances change throughout the life of the project as well. So if your level of expenditure isn't as originally anticipated, that's fine. We'll discuss this further with you, and we may need to just vary the terms of the original overall investments and the amount and frequency of the instalments. Basically what we want to get across is this is an ongoing process. We'll have a dialogue with you. If things aren't working as originally anticipated, that's fine, because everyone's sort of guessing what the demand's going to be. Just have a chat with us, and I'll come to some sort of tips and hints on managing your funding during the programme just in a little bit. So in terms of monitoring, I'm just going to hand over to Gemma now, who was heavily involved in the monitoring last year. I know a lot of you will have already dealt with Gemma, just to talk through how the monitoring process works.
Sharon, it wouldn't unmute myself then. So yeah, I've worked with a number of you over the last couple of months on the reporting requirements, and I appreciate that this hasn't been an easy task. So with regards to the monitoring requirements, they are going to be requested monthly as per last time. The format, the template is going to be exactly the same. Even though the payments are being made, so 2 payments, it is so important that we get the returns to us on a monthly basis as per the agreed schedule. Even though you're going to get up to 75% of your award issued to you, we are still required to submit quarterly returns to the DWP. So it is still really important that even though you've had all your money, that you still evidence you spend on a monthly basis. I have worked with a number of you individually on how to complete this template. My door is always open if anybody wants some one-to-one support on completing that return. If you've got any questions at any point, just give me a ring. We can do the monthly returns together. Like I said, the format isn't going to be changed, and I know it's not the easiest of formats to complete, but I am here to help if you do have any questions at any time. So as well as the monthly reporting requirements for your expenditure, at the end of the project we do require 1 case study to be issued to us as well. Types of support, Sharon, is that the evidence in the types of support which we're spending?
The monitoring asks for the information that's required by the monitoring, asks for types of support, it asks for the types of households that you're supporting. We ask about households with no recourse to public funds as well, and it asks for various totals such as total spend, total number of households, total number of people. But what we will do, we will send out a specimen to you if you are successful of the type of information that's required, so you know from day one what you need to be capturing and what you need to be recording. And again, I'll let Gemma get onto this in a little bit, but we will there is a support throughout the projects as well to help you with that.
Just to add, thanks Sharon, it's as equally as important to provide us with the evidence of the types of support which you've issued and the types of households that you've helped. It's just as important to give us that information as it is to provide us with the financial expenditure as well, because again this information is also required by the DWP, so we do have to provide evidence on the types of households that we have supported.
Thanks, Gemma. So we'll just move on. As I indicate before, there's various types of support that we can offer you during the projects as well. So Gemma, could you just go through the different types of support that we can offer throughout the project?
Yeah, of course. So the successful applicants will have their support offer published on the Oldham Council's website. So on the Oldham Council's website at the moment, it's here to help. So we'll look at refreshing that along with the types of supports which yourselves are being issued. We'll also as well, we recommend that you register with OCAN. So for those of you who are not familiar with OCAN, OCAN is a web-based referral system for crisis information, advice and support. It connects services and teams to advice and support providers to enable better support package. It also ensures that we've got robust referrals, meaning that individuals or families who are experiencing crisis receive advice and support in a timely manner as well. So again, I know I've given a demo to some of you already. If you'd like to have, again, a demo or a refresh on that, please do contact me after this session. Contact details will be provided. Also as well, for those of you who were awarded Household Support Fund 3, we had a demo from the e-voucher system. And again, if you want to discuss and have a demo on that system, by all means contact me and we can get that arranged either with myself or with a colleague directly from the e-voucher system. And again, we have a Household Support Fund forum, so we will be running possibly around every 6 weeks. We'll be reviewing any issues that you're having from an operational perspective. We can just discuss any concerns which you have with regards to monitoring requirements. It's also an opportunity as well for networking and to share best practice as well. So it's a really good, really informal session. Please do feel free to come along. We will communicate a schedule of those. And again, the time and space is yours. So if there's anything that you do want to see at that particular forum, pop me an email, give me a ring, and we'll make sure those items are added onto the agenda as well.
Thanks, Gemma, that's great. Okay, so just a couple of top tips for applying. Please do read the guidance notes. There are a set of guidance notes that accompany the application form, and we've tried to make those as comprehensive as possible. Please do answer the questions. I know that sounds like a really silly thing to say, but we've really tailored the form so it's as short as possible. So we only ask the questions that we actually need the information for. So don't think, oh, we'll put a load of other information in as well, just because we want to get this across. If we've got any questions, we'll come and ask you, but please do answer the specific question that's been asked. And if you're not sure, ask. We're here to help, we're here to support. Like I've said before, if you've got any questions about eligibility or how the fund's going to work, just get in touch with us. You know, we're more than happy to have a chat with any of you if you're thinking about applying before you apply. That's not a problem at all. And then if you are successful, we've got various sort of tips for managing the funding. It's really important you keep accurate records as you go along. What we don't want to happen is, you know, we know how busy you all are. You sort of give out loads of vouchers or you give out loads of support to groups, and then you come to do your figures at the end of the month and you realise you've overspent. It's really important to try and get into some system that's easy and straightforward so you can accurately record all that information. And we will be, as I said, giving you a template for the monitoring information, so you know from day one what kind of things you need to be capturing. It won't be a nasty surprise. We'll ask you for a load of information that you're not aware of. And just to say, a lot of these requests for information aren't coming from us, it's coming from DWP, and we have to comply with that. We probably wouldn't go into this depth of detail in terms of the monitoring if it was completely our choice, but these formal returns have to be made to DWP. So that's where a lot of the requests for the breakdowns comes from. Speak to us. Communication is key. So throughout the project, at any time, don't wait for us to chase you with monitoring, or, you know, don't wait for us to sort of ask you something. If you've got a question, or if something's changed throughout your project, or, you know, you're concerned about something, get in touch. Just speak to us. The team's here. If your funding's running out, let us know. It's really hard to guess the level of support that you don't know what the demand's going to be. You know, we're all sort of guessing for the future. If you're getting low, let us know. Conversely, don't overspend. when you apply for a certain amount of money, we'll send you a grant agreement with a payment schedule in that. But I think those who received this funding last year, we were fortunate in that we had an additional pot of funding allocated that we could use to sort of increase the amount of support given through the DWP. We don't have the luxury of that this year, so it's really important you don't overspend. So if you're awarded £10,000, don't spend more than £10,000. If you're getting close, you're running out, let us know, but don't overspend, because we can't guarantee this year that we'd have the funds to reimburse any overpayments. That's why I said the importance of those monthly monitoring figures, keeping in touch with us, telling us what's happening. If you've got any, so just let us know. It may well be that when we're getting towards the end of the programme, some organisations may have some underspends that they can return back to us. They may think, well, we're not actually going to spend this money, we can get back. And at that point we can reallocate, but we can't do that until we know what the underspends are going to be. So just keep in touch, keep communicating, but don't overspend unless you speak to us, or we can't guarantee that any overspends can be repaid as they were last year. It's just keeping that conversation going with us. And if you're not sure, ask. We're here, there's 3 of us. Get in touch with us. We'll keep in touch throughout the programme anyway, in terms of monitoring in the forums, but you don't have to wait for those. Please do get in touch. It's really important. It is a complex pot of funding, this one, because of the requirements from DWP. So we just all need to, we're not here to trip you up on your monitoring, we're just here to help you. So just get in touch if you've got any questions.